Hello, sir. How are you? Good morning, sir. Yes. Good, sir. Thank you. Hello. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
कैसे हैं?
ठीक है, sir. Thank you. Hello, sir. Hello.
There are faculty members without any information is absent nowadays.
वो आप लिस्ट में करो मुझे. Every great advance in science has evolved from a new audacity of the imagination. These words by the famous American philosopher and psychologist John Dewey resonate profoundly in the context of medical research, where breakthroughs often emerge from bold leaps of imagination. From groundbreaking treatments to innovative diagnostic technologies, the medical field constantly evolves. Thanks to the creativity of visionary individuals. As researchers push the boundaries of knowledge, envisioning novel solutions and methodologies, they propel medical science forward, developing cutting-edge therapies, personalized medicine, and revolutionary medical devices. A very good afternoon to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to the 10th Annual Research Day celebrations at PGI Chandigarh. Before we proceed further with today's function, I request our esteemed dignitaries on the dais to come forward for the traditional lamp lighting ceremony. We pray with all humility to Ma Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, to replace the darkness of ignorance with the dawn of self-realization and wisdom.
ज्ञान उदधि से वीणा वाणी
With immense pride, we now offer a glimpse of the deep affection and reverence we hold for our alma mater, as we cherish our PGI anthem dedicated to one and all associated with this premier institute of national importance.
आशाएं जीने की मन में जगाए, असीम ज्ञान की धारा बहाए। आशाएं जीने की मन में जगाए, असीम ज्ञान की धारा बहाए। शिक्षा विज्ञान और स्वास्थ्य का ये सेवा संस्थान हमारा।
दीक्षा भी है यहाँ, शोध भी, कर्तव्य का है बोध भी। भारत के हर एक प्रांत से आए हुए हैं हम सभी। हर शख्स यहाँ जो आया है, उसे रोग मुक्त कराया है। जीवन यहाँ अनमोल है, सभी की आस संजोया है, सभी की आस संजोया है।
विश्व कल्याण सर्व मंगलम उद्देश्य है हमारा। संकल्प है संस्थान का, लहराएंगे परचम। हम हैं PGI चंडीगढ़, हम हैं PGI चंडीगढ़, हम हैं PGI चंडीगढ़, हम हैं PGI चंडीगढ़। आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च, आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च, आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च, आर्थ सेवा सर्वभद्र शोधश्च।
The inquisitive nature of human mind and his never satisfying urge to improve his living conditions forms the very core of all research. And when curious minds are nurtured with the correct guidance and support, like that offered by this premier institute, the results are certainly revolutionary. With the mission, service to the community, care of the needy, and research for the good of all, we at PGI are committed to leave no stone unturned in contributing towards health for all. Now I request our respected Dean Academic, Professor Naresh Panda, to kindly come forward and address the gathering. Sir, please.
Good afternoon. Professor Rajiv Bahel, Secretary to the Government of India and Director General, Indian Council of Medical Research. Professor Vivek Lal, Director PGI. Professor Yogesh Chawla, former Director PGI and a Padma Shri awardee. Professor Vinay Sakuja, former Dean Academic PGI and Head of the Department of Nephrology. Professor S.K. Jindal, Head of the Department of Pulmonary Medicine. Professor Digamba Behra, former Head of the Department of Pulmonary Medicine and a Padma Shri awardee. Professor Madhu Khullar, Professor in the Department of Experimental Medicine, and Professor Aruna Lok Chakravarti, former Head of the Department of Medical Microbiology. Former Director of PGI, Professor Jagat Ram. Professor Arvind Rajvanshi, former Head of the Department of Cytology and Gynae Pathology, and at the moment working as Director AIIMS Rae Bareilly. Other dignitaries, former deans, former faculty members, and dear friends. As has already been said, PGI has been following the motto which we have is Arth Seva Sarvabhadasya Sodascha. And on that account, PGI has been celebrating the Research Day, and the first Research Day started in 2012, and which was the brainchild of Professor Yogesh Chawla as a part of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of the Institute. That was the first time when an innovation bazaar was the highlight of that Research Day. What's new this year? Thanks to an appreciable initiative of Professor Vivek Lal, our director, we have the leaders in research who have done cutting-edge research in PGI in their respective fields, and I'm sure the faculty members with whom they all interacted must have been motivated by their great skills and their research work. The aim of this function has been to inculcate a priority of research amongst the students and faculty of the Institute. PGI being a large institute, the Research Day provides an opportunity to faculty to showcase the research and innovation. We have all seen the great innovation work by the faculty members meanwhile ago, and also allows the PGI faculty to collaborate amongst one another. While the best papers were awarded from the first Research Day in 2012, we gave intramural grants up to an amount of 15 lakhs to the top researchers from the 7th Research Day. We have been awarding the junior residents, senior residents, and PhD scholars from the 9th Research Day onwards. So let's look at how is PGI doing in translational clinical research, and there are the randomized controlled trials. And as you can make out, some of these publications and work have been cited as much as 470 times and 190 times. Some research by the faculty members have transformed into guidelines, and these are the ones. The one prominent from the Department of Pulmonary Medicine has been cited 630 times, and likewise recommendations for management of COVID-19 associated mucormycosis from the Department of Medical Microbiology, and from the Department of Hepatology, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and metabolic syndrome, a position paper in the Indian National Association of the Study of the Liver. The faculty have been very active in filing patents, and in the year 2022, we had 22 patents which were published, and 10 patents were granted. We have been fortunate to have some of the departments and faculty members have done biomedical innovations which have been commercialized. The one which is very prominent and has found its way for commercial use is a closed-loop anesthesia delivery system, which is called CLADS, which is also considered as an anesthesia robo from the Department of Anesthesia and Intensive Care. I, being a surgeon, sometimes, surgeons are construed as being only interested in cutting and doing less research. But, ladies and gentlemen, many of the surgeons, have been innovating, have devised different surgical techniques. They have devised modifications in the surgical techniques, which have again been used for the delivery of surgical care to these patients. So surgical faculty also has not been left behind. However, their work may not be reflected or may be mentioned because of not a very high citation of their work. Nevertheless, their work also doesn't go, without any purpose for the patients. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll stop here. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Professor Panda, for your valuable insights. As we move ahead with today's function, I would like to request our respected director, Professor Vivek Lal, to welcome the august gathering.
Dr. Rajiv Behel, all my esteemed teachers on the dais and off the dais, my dear colleagues, residents, everyone in the faculty, the nursing brigade, and my friends from the press corps. मेरा आप सभी को हाथ जोड़ के नमस्कार. I generally don't take names because I generally forget, and फिर it kind of leaves a bad taste अगर किसी का नाम ना लिया जाए. So मेरा आप सभी को सिर झुका के हाथ जोड़ के नमस्कार. I must thank Dr. Rajiv Behel for having come to PGI. A, first he agreed to come. B, he made it to PGI. Now, he was in Pune yesterday and he was supposed to fly back to Delhi and then pick up the morning 7:30 flight and reach here by 8:30. His Pune-Delhi flight got cancelled. So he drove 4 hours from Pune to Bombay, reached Bombay at 11:30 at night, took the 6 o'clock flight in the morning to be here with us at 8:30. Professor Behel, we cannot thank you enough for that. I received him at the airport. He was as fresh as dew. मुझे समझ नहीं आया, मैंने कहा लगते तो वही हैं मेरे को. He was so fresh and there was no resignation on his face in spite of the fact that Air India had treated him like that. He reached the airport where he was told that his ticket is invalid, and he said, how can my ticket be invalid? It turned out the flight had been cancelled. No intimation given. That's Air India, important. The more the things change, the more they tend to be the same. Professor Behel is an iconic figure in the Indian canvas, in the Indian medical canvas. He did his MD from Kalavati Saran. And those of us who know what Kalavati Saran represents know very well that if you do MD pediatrics in Kalavati Saran, from Kalavati Saran, you can do MD pediatrics any battlefield of the world. As if that was not enough, he went on to do his PhD from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So he is that MD PhD group, which he is very keen to promote, which he feels is going to be the bedrock of the future of research in India, and I see some logic in what he's saying. He went on to the WHO, where he was in charge of the diarrheal diseases section, and there is one very important message in what he has done. You don't have to be high-flying. You don't have to be, in a 747 to make an impact. What he introduced in the WHO when he was there as a director of WHO has had a global impact. The kangaroo care system, I kind of cannot believe why no one thought of it before. But someone has to think of good things, and he's going to talk about it. How you entrust the care of a newborn to the mother rather than the nurse, because the mother will ensure that there is not going to be any infection. Everyone was talking about good nursing care, washing your hands before and afterwards, and keep washing your hands, and this obviated all. The mother will never ever harm her child. This simple philosophy of kangaroo care, sir, to me reflects your personality. I've seen many I've seen many ICMR DGs before. Easily you're the most grounded, sir. It's a privilege to know you in person. It's a privilege to be inspired by you. And I want each one of you to know you are all very lucky today to have him amongst us. And that too willingly. He's gone around, he's seen the innovation bazaar, and he's been interacting with as many faculty as possible. When you do a research day of this kind, there are two things which come to my mind. A, PGI is a hidden volcano. I do not know why it is still hidden. Why doesn't it erupt? When all of us have got such phenomenal capacity, when all of us have got such incredible research potential, I think we need to highlight everything. Some of the posters and some of the innovations were beyond imagination. And they are there. They're there for you and me to see. And their impact is going to be felt sooner than later. I hope it is sooner than later. My request is, don't rest there. That should be the starting point. Help of any kind and every kind will now be provided. And as Sir is going to tell us, he is more than willing to give it, as long as it's therapeutic for the society, as long as it proves to be something useful in the long run. B, besides being hidden volcanoes that we are, what was most impressive is someone in the audience telling me, I got this idea when I was abroad, but then I realized, let me go beyond that idea. Let me extend my thinking and try and better what I thought when I was in Harvard. And I think that is the beginning of good research. Originality. Originality. Research which is driven by originality always will last longer than the research which is driven by statistics. Original research does not happen very often. We all know Alexander Fleming discovered antibiotics. He discovered penicillin. That was an original discovery. Now you can go on discovering biosimilars right, left and center, but that thing original still lingers on. I have seen his case histories in the Oxford Museum, where the first 6 patients of penicillin who responded to penicillin, including a cavernous sinus thrombosis, a 6-year-old child with cavernous sinus thrombosis, and a soldier who had a fatal wound respond. And along those case histories, which Professor Chris Kennard showed me when I had gone to Oxford as a visiting faculty, there is this phrase, O for Oxford, O for originality. So if we are original in our thinking, sky is the limit. It takes time for an original thought to be accepted by the world, because the world is used to a certain trajectory of thought. Now, when you're doing something original, obviously, it's away from the accepted trajectory. And the world initially is going to smother you. Be prepared to accept that you are on the right track when the world is smothering you and is jealous of you. Remember that. You are on the right track. I was reading about his revolutionary practice of kangaroo care for the newborn. It wasn't accepted so easily, sir. There was a lot of resistance. But today, it's an accepted modality all over the world. Professor Behel was telling me that he has one aim, and I'm passing on that aim to you. I shouldn't be telling you all that he's supposed to be telling you, that he wants PGI to come on par with AIIMS Delhi, if not beat it. And it came from his heart. Now it is for you all to capitalize on his presence and exploit his presence. He can't keep coming again and again. I can't keep calling him again and again. You can hound him the moment he's off the dais. Ensure that you get your due so that we are able to take our institute forward. As he correctly said, that PGI also stands for good, eloquent research. Yes, it stands for good eloquent research. Eloquent research. Eloquent in terms of its impact on the society. Eloquent in terms of its therapeutic good that it delivers, and eloquent in terms of the harmony that it creates for everyone who tends to read what comes out of PGI. With that, I thank you all for being here. I know it's a working day. I once again thank my former teachers who have been most kind to come. All of them, don't forget now, are in private practice. That means lots of money. A PGI doctor earns well after retirement and earns less when he's in PGI. He or she is in PGI. So, you know, they have left their lucrative practice and have come here to bless us. We thank you, sir. We thank you all for being here, and we hope to see you again and again. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for always being so supportive towards all our endeavors. It is indeed an honor to have with us Dr. Rajiv Bahal, Secretary to Government of India, Department of Health Research, and Director General, Indian Council of Medical Research, as our revered chief guest for today's function. He would be speaking on the topic, Research in Medical Institutions in India, Vision, Strategy, and Action. Sir, I request you to please enlighten us by sharing your vast knowledge and experiences. Sir, please. Welcome.
Can I get this in the pocket? Yes, please. Thank you. Next slide and previous slide. Thank you. You can see it there. You can see it here, sir. हाँ,
पीछे करने के लिए
नीचे वाला सर, नीचे वाला. That's it.
Most respected senior colleagues on the dais and off the dais, Professor Vivek Lal, Professor Panda, it is an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. When Dr. Lal has been asking me several times to come to PGI, I came once because Dr. Talwar came to my office and he said that you should come to PGI. I said, I will if I speak with the faculty about research. So I came, I think, early last year. And Professor Lal was telling me, you have to come to PGI. I said, I will come on your research day. That I will do, because then I think I'm doing my work. It's related to my work. I decided not to go for convocations, being chief guest of different functions, inaugurations, foundation days, etc., because I have 27 of my own institutes which I head, and they all want me to come for those days, and there are so many others. And when I got this position, which is a term-limited position for 3 years, I said I have 1,089 days, and each one of them I have to make count. If I just do these lectures and talk about things, then it is not serving the purpose. I have to really get something done in ICMR that facilitates work on research in different institutions. So thank you for inviting me on this day. I am very delighted to be here, and also to congratulate all the directors who are here, previous directors and the current one, to see what a beautiful display of research and innovation you put together. I must say something that has been said previously, that excellence doesn't come with coincidence. You have to do something to get that excellence, and that is very clear that not only in clinical care and teaching, but also in research, PGI is one of the top institutions in the country. However, the other thing I want to say is, I will not talk about the research I did. because that is not what is important. The important thing is the research that you do and how I can help with that. I will talk about my research when I retire. So that's why I chose this topic on my thinking about medical institutions in the country and the status of research. Now, you are already one of the best, but still there may be things in this vision that might help. I wanted to just share with you what I am thinking, what ICMR is doing, and what then some suggestions for the institution and some suggestions for the researchers. Just how important this is, we have seen in COVID how important research has been. When I had the interaction for the position of the Secretary DHR, DG ICMR, I was asked a question by the principal scientific advisor. And he is a physicist, and he asked me, Dr. Behel, why do you think our medical colleges do not do the kind of research that is done in most medical colleges in United States? My daughter was in one of these institutions, and she was a fellow, and she was doing so much research. Here I see very few people are interested in research. And what can you do about it? So it's just a question that people notice that when we look at our MD students across the country, I may not be just talking about PGI Chandigarh, the focus is on clinical care. DMs, the focus is on clinical care. When you go to a research an institute like Harvard and you do a fellowship, at least 50% of it is research. And even clinicians have to work in the lab, have to understand, and there is a rationale for that. And I will share some of my thoughts in the half hour I have with you. The vision is relatively very, very simple, that Indian institutions will achieve global leadership in health research. But it is incomplete without the second part of the statement, which is that not only will we achieve, our institutions will achieve global leadership, but we will help solve, or they will help solve, health problems of Indian citizens. Because just doing something for our own glory or our own good may be the norm. You MD students do research to tick a box, get their thesis. A PhD student wants a PhD done. That norm is not a good one. Certainly that is not the norm in PGI. Faculty, everybody wants to do research projects because they know they cannot be promoted without one. But I don't call that as research unless it helps do something. So I say one of the two things, either make India proud or make Indians healthier. For example, if ISRO landed Chandrayaan on the moon, it was enough. Even if it did not have any scientific meaning, it was enough for me, because it really made me proud as an Indian, and I think every Indian was so proud that we were the first country to land on the south pole of the moon, fourth country to do a soft landing on the moon. Itself, it gives us tremendous energy and confidence. So either you make India proud or do something which will help the Indian citizens. That is the vision, that these institutes will do that. But where are we? We are saying we want to be, our institutions want to be in the global leadership. But this is the situation currently. None of these indices, rankings are perfect, but they are like marks of a student. They are indicators. These are the top 5 institutions in the country ranked by what is called Kimago rankings. It is the medicine ranking. And PGI is certainly second to All India Institute of Medical Sciences. But if you look at that, the 2021 ranks were 396 and 561. I didn't take the 2024 or 23 rankings because they were missing PGI Chandigarh. So I said, I don't know why they have not included in the past 2 years. But AIIMS has risen to 285 from 396. So we are going up. And PGI must also have risen. But we are still not in the leadership positions in the world. The top 100 institutions, 88 of them are in developed world, in US, Canada. In US is more than 50%. US, Canada, Europe, UK, all Australia, New Zealand, the usual suspects. Of the 12 remaining, one is in Brazil, one is in South Korea, and all the remaining are in China. And that was certainly not the situation 20 years ago, 10 years ago even. So we need to take cognizance of that. We need to do something different. We should not be contented and happy that this is where we are, this is good. Let's move up. I also wanted to show you that even in this ranking, there are 3 parts of the ranking. Only 50% is for research publications, citations, high impact journals, number of publications, number of scientists publishing, etc. The remaining 50% is about impact, 30% for innovations, patents, guidelines, something which has been used and created some innovation. And 20% in societal interest in this, whatever they have done. So only half of it, the job is done with good publications. So what is the target? I am thinking 3 institutes in the top 100. So you can imagine you are definitely going to be one of the 3 that are on my target to get to the top 100. You are the ones who are going to do it. If we can help in any way, ICMR would be more than delighted. Coming to individual scientists, because institutions ranking is made up of individuals, I was shown a slide which had people from PGI who are in the top 2% of Stanford rankings. True, there are some on one slide. Total 28 medical scientists as I counted them. Great. But look at United States, 9,000. France, 567. These are the top few countries. So if we have to go there, we have to make very rapid progress. So I am saying, okay, my target, at least 100 medical scientists should go in the top 2%. So if you are the second best one, you know you have to contribute a lot of them, because only the ones who are at the cusp will go to the top 2%. One other thing that I noticed, that some of the good scientists do not even have a Google Scholar account. I would encourage everyone in this room and everywhere in the country, if you are a researcher, at least register yourself on Google Scholar, so that your H-index, your I-10 index, your other indices are counted by these people who do these rankings. Otherwise, we will not be showing up anywhere, our institutions, because it all counts. Even if you are not the top scientist, but the total numbers are large, it counts against what India is and what institutions are. So that's a very simple thing for everybody to do. But the more difficult thing is, and I'll talk about it, that how to get there. Sorry. Oh, going back. Oh, what is it? How do I go back?
Yeah, this one. Sir.
This one.
Yeah.
Sorry, my apologies. So here is the second part. The first two were about global leadership. Here is what I think where some of the key problems that we want to solve. The one I am missing is antimicrobial resistance. I just didn't write on the slide, my apologies. But communicable diseases, eliminate malaria, TB, filariasis, Kala-Azar, leprosy. Of course, antimicrobial resistance is a very key issue, other viral diseases, emerging diseases, etc. But no one is going to do TB, malaria, filariasis, Kala-Azar, leprosy for us. Who else will be interested in this? How will we become a developed country with having so much TB in this country? It's impossible to be a developed country by 2047 if we are still struggling with filariasis and tuberculosis as public health problems. You know that how much the burden of non-communicable diseases has increased. We cannot follow the global model of just giving more and more drugs to more and more people. We need to find ways to prevent and reverse by both non-pharmacological ways, and then treat only the ones that require treatment, but that treatment also has to be tailored. And how do we do that in the best way? Mental health problems are increasing. Our population is aging. We still are struggling with childhood malnutrition and anemia as one of our such resilient problems. So they are just refractory to any change. They may look very simple, but the answers will not come. It is not simply equal to pumping in iron tablets or saying children should eat more. It requires thoughtful research into these issues, which, as I said, globally, the minds that are applied to this are of not the quality that we can apply. And how? What I saw as the innovation bazaar, and thank you very much. I heard that Professor Chawla started that. That is a great idea. Is about indigenous development of affordable drugs, vaccine, future-ready devices, diagnostics. But we have to take them to the next level. Unless, please don't be happy that we have created something. Unless there has to be that fire, a passion that this has to be used by patients. And I will talk a little bit about the strategy, how to do that later. Improved quality of healthcare, every single institution. So much is possible. Small issues, small problems, but help solve it through research projects. It's not only high-tech equipment and high-tech research that is important. Small ideas, small issues, but something that solves the problem is probably much more interesting. And implementation, research, health technology assessment, etc., to make sure that these are available. So I'm going to talk about 5 strategies at ICMR about enhancing research capacity, the changes we have recently made, changes to extramural grants program, strengthening the research ecosystem, the highway for Meditech or MedTech product development, and greater use for evidence in policy. So regarding capacity building, the new proposal A is a slight increase, but fixing to about 2% of all medical MBBS seats in India to 2,000 short-term studentships, from 100 to 400 MD thesis. But this is the one I want to talk a little bit about, the MD PhD that Professor Lal and I were discussing this morning. Although it is not necessary for people who have done their MD and are faculty to do a PhD, we do think that some of the people, if they learn the methods early in their career through a PhD program, it might help to create more physician scientists It is not that they are not there. It is that the numbers may increase if we have a program. We had a program where we were trying to find MD PhDs. We had 25 seats, and we would give them fellowships to MBBS or MD students to do a PhD. And I reviewed it, and only 2 or 3 a year are being taken. And when I just looked at it, the result, to me it was obvious that there are 2 problems. A, the fellowship doesn't help, because it is every doctor will have a salary in any case. If you are working in a hospital or working somewhere, you will have a salary, so what will you do with the fellowship? But secondly, there is no path for a young MBBS or a young MD to do a PhD. What will they do after that? In fact, people told me that if they don't have a senior residency and have a PhD, they will not be eligible to be faculty. So there was no point in continuing that. So we have focused on only 2 populations. One population is ICMR institutions itself. We have about 300 medical scientists, and they are MDs, most of them, some are MBBS. And they've chosen a career of research, and to my taste, they would definitely benefit by doing a PhD. The second is medical college faculty. When they are young, when they have joined, maybe in the first 5 to 10 years of their joining as faculty, if they were to go through a structured PhD program, it would be of great help. Now, certainly they don't need salary. So what we have decided is to give a grant up to actually 50 lakh rupees to those young faculty who will join a PhD program, who register for a PhD either with their own institution or with another institution, and I'm going to talk about that. For PGI, you can register with your own. And we will give these grants. So 2 advantages. It's an early career grant. You get a PhD, you also get a research grant, and you do it under the mentorship of some of the best researchers in your own institute. And in the future, for when you apply for ICMR grants and other grants, it will certainly be considered as an advantage. We have also increased the number of fellowships for MSc PhDs through ICMR from 150 to 300, and also added for INIs MSc PhDs. So this also is something you can take advantage of. They will all get fellowships. So this will be, you are part of the INIs, ICMR institutes are part of it, other INIs, all are possible. There are also doubling of postdoctoral fellowships. So on the right side, I want to just show you how many scientists, clinical department physicians, these are not basic scientists, clinicians who have an MD PhD in United States of America, a total of 12,000. This is about 3% of any batch, they say, of medical students also gets a PhD. In addition to whatever they do with their fellowships, and they do a lot of research in them, they go and do a PhD as well. I don't need to put the numbers in India. I was told that there is one maverick in PGI who has done MD after PhD. Think about it. If it appeals to you, we are very happy to be of help. Just also to mention that for postgraduate thesis, 40,000 postgraduates in India, but hardly anything productive comes out of it. There was somebody who was telling me in AFMC that they took their thesis to their guide, and the question was asked, where is the master paper? because they want a master paper that has been published in a international journal before, so that then you can just copy those same methods, same things, and probably get the same results. And that's more often than not that the case is. It may not be in some of the big institutions in the country. So what we've started doing is we have put on the web, on ICMR, for all clinical and non-paraclinical departments, preclinical departments, a list of useful thesis topics which were done by the best 30 to 50 best guides in the country. Those who had done their students had won awards for PG thesis, etc. We put them together and we asked them to think about something which was feasible for a student to do without any resources, but also useful in their own way. Smaller questions, but useful questions. This has been done in partnership with NMC, National Medical Commission, and jointly the chairperson of NMC and I have written to all the directors that students can choose, and multiple students in India can choose the same topic. And we have also created a CTRI-like registry, which will get into action soon. We'll make it mandatory through NMC for all PGs to put their thesis onto this registry, where they can also update it with the publications that come out of it. We should encourage that every one of those theses comes with a publication in the end. And if we can, that would be great, but at least do things, teach people to do something that has some implication. That is the core. Regarding research funding, you might already know, last year we have given 600 grants. We have also declared transparently on our website who those grants are given to, which institute, which people. The important thing is that the small grant or any grant that existed was a small grant earlier. In 2022, we had given 900, but the average size was 30 lakhs. This year, the average grant size is about 2.5 times more, 70 lakh rupees per grant, 600 chosen. We also started this new intermediate grant, because previously sometimes you had a proof of principle, but you couldn't do a large enough multi-center trial or a definitive study before you made it into a guideline or a product. These are all, the extramural grants is all investigator initiated. It's all ideas of individual investigators. And this is a 2 to 8 crore grant. Average grant size this year was 3.5 crores. 100, maybe 101 or 102 are given this year. I put a round figure. And 30 centers for advanced research. It may be 1 or 2 less or 1 or 2 more, will be released within the next 2 years. The results will be released. Many of you already know who is in the offing, because I have spoken with all of them. And then there is the National Health Research Program that I won't talk about, but the main issue is give bigger grants for more meaningful and impactful research. That is the core message. We have also been able to retain the funding. This is just to show that we are not talking about these things without the budget. You can see that there was a budget increase in 2021 and 2022, largely because of COVID. From 900 crores grants we got 1240 crores. So that was a significant jump because of COVID. And my greatest worry was that we will lose that. But we managed to increase that in 23-24 and in 24-25. So we are actually been able to retain and actually increase that grant. So we are in a good shape for you to get these extramural grants. Now, clearly, I don't decide them. So, although Dr. Lal has said, you can mob me, it won't help. I can only help you in terms of my individual capacity. The jury is of your peers, and they decide to give a score. I don't accept now recommended and not recommended. I ask them to score on objective criteria. 5 criteria, give scores and the total scores. Then we look at that score, and finally we make a decision whether a project is to be funded or not. And it is purely on merit and purely on that score. Now, is that perfect? No. You may say my project was the very best, it earned something and ICMR did not fund it. Might be true. But that is the problem of a peer review. It is like democracy. Democracy is not perfect, but it is the best that we have. It is the only system that we still think works. So peer-reviewed process and peer decisions are not perfect, but that is still the best we have. Much better than my deciding that whether I should do it or not. But certainly it helps by, I can give direction to the people who are looking at things as how to look at them. And this is one of the directions I gave, because all our focus in ICMR, or not all, 2/3 of the focus, 70% of all grants in the year that I joined, I signed all of them, were on description of the problem. Tubercular meningitis in elderly is a huge problem. Here are the differences. This is an issue. This is a big problem. TB in this. Diabetes, 10% of Indians have diabetes. That's all descriptive research, very important. You should know the problem to be able to tackle it. But year on year, if 70% of my effort keeps going to describing the problem, then where will the solutions come from? The 30% was too little. So we decided that we will shift this to only 25% on description and 75%, which is understanding the problem, and 75% on finding solutions. And you can see the distribution of those 566 grants out of 600. The remaining 34 were already ongoing with other calls. 22% are descriptive. The remaining 78% are either discovery, development, or delivery, with a predominant focus on development of new products, development of new guidelines, clinical trials, and others. Similarly, in intermediate grants, 29% are descriptive. All the others are in the spirit of finding solutions, and the same thing in the Centers for Advanced Research. On the capacity of the, I don't want to talk too much. This is not necessarily for PGI. This is our part of our vision that all medical colleges should try and do some research. And it should not be only Indian national institutes of importance. Just as I say that you should do as well as All India Institute of Medical Sciences, but I'll go to another institute, GMC Chandigarh, and tell them, you should do as well as PGI Chandigarh. Why not? This is the spirit of what our Honorable Prime Minister calls competitive federalism. One state, one district, which is better, why is it better? We should have that spirit, that other medical schools should also try and do this, and we are helping by creating these, they were already there. They were created by Dr. Katoch in his time, these multidisciplinary research units. They are there in more than 100 medical colleges, but only about 20% of them are functional to the level that we can think that they will be. We are really working hard with all of them as well to make sure that they do more research and better quality research. One thing, in the last two things I want to talk about is innovation ecosystem about ICMR. We have recently launched this thing called MedTech Mitra, which is hand-holding medtech innovators for clinical evaluation, regulatory facilitation, and uptake of new products. Essentially, it's a partnership between ICMR and the Drug Controller's Office, which is the CDSCO, with also other partners. So from starting with fostering collaboration between clinicians and engineers, like IITs and medical schools and institutes like AIIMS and Delhi IIT, PGI with other IITs and so on, where ICMR will play some role and try to facilitate, to testing like pre-compliance testing of devices, where you are doing tabletop testing, and there we have the partner with Andhra MedTech Zone that will support all this testing, to the regulatory strategy, which was whenever I heard the word regulator, when I was a researcher in All India Institute of Medical Sciences, I said too difficult, I'll do something else. But a regulatory study I will not do. It's just too difficult. So we are actually working to have the regulator sit with us and talk to the one by one. This scheme was launched on 25th of December. We have had already more than 125 innovators apply through the portal. And we have already given advice to more than 40 of them. This fourth meeting is going to happen in terms of, and this meeting happens between ICMR, the drug controller, the Bureau of Indian Standards, some other experts for bioengineering and others, and the Atal Innovation Mission. And we all sit together and tell them what are the exact steps to follow for their product. And not only that, but also then handhold to do the preclinical evaluation largely in big animals or larger animals, because sometimes the mice studies, etc. are done, the rodent studies are done, but not anything beyond that you need in ICMR institutes and other that we have created. One or two other things. One is with AMTZ, our own center in Hyderabad that has come up, the National Animal Resource Facility, where these preclinical trials will be done, but we'll also fund these innovators to do these preclinical trials as well as clinical studies from phase 1 itself. And very happy that one of the phase 1 centers for advanced research is in PGI. So these studies will be funded by ICMR wherever we think there is a possibility of developing something indigenous which is useful and which will be really beneficial for people of India. And finally, that after a product is approved, ICMR will help in terms of making guidelines and technology, health technology assessment in order to make sure that public procurement of those things may happen, and giving the right information to those government bodies, particularly that do the procurement, but also private sector. I already talked about the Center for Evidence of Guide, because there's no point in creating more evidence if people are not going to use it for their guidelines or going to use it in their. So that was about ICMR. One slide on the institute, just some thoughts of what you can do. This is for Professor Lal and Professor Panda. You already have an intramural research program or research grants. You could expand and enhance, spend a little more. You are an INI, you spend so much yourself on clinical care, on teaching. please think about how you can do more. The bigger issue is put greater value on impactful research. Impactful research is not by impact factor. It is not only by impact factor. Impact factor is just one measure. It is about what you said, sir, that it should be useful for your own patients, if for nothing else. If you can, creating products, use it at least for your own patients and then take it to scale and see how that can, and if you give greater value to it in terms of whether it is selections, promotions, or any other way of appreciation, that will make people think more about, and particularly the younger people think more about how to have more meaningful, more impactful research. It's a tricky one, but protected time for the faculty that you know has been engaged and is doing impactful research, because we do research in India in medical institutions, faculty does it almost like a hobby on their own time. Weekends, vacation, evenings, nights, that is when you do research, because otherwise you are thought of as too selfish. I do believe that clinical care is great service. Teaching is equally important service. But research is also national service. If it is done to change what we are, the kind of research that we are interested, if people are doing that kind of research, it is for the administration and for the government to think, and I will certainly help from my side with the minister and others, that we need to protect time of people to do more research. You were saying that in Harvard or Oxford, wherever you were, in Oxford, that they work and then they have a few weeks off just to do their research. It's not off. They are doing research, they are doing work. So important, and then we say, why do they get Nobel Prizes? Right? So it takes effort. Good डालेंगे तो मीठा होगा. No good, no sweetness. Central research facilities is something that I would very strongly encourage, if not physically, at least digitally. People think of a piece of equipment as their own, as if they own it. These are all national assets. You have not purchased it. These are all bought. You might have tried, but this is public money. We should make sure that they are used more. Now, no high-end equipment is used more than 20 to 30%, most cases. Why can't we open its use to others? Ease of doing research, instead of making committees more vengeful, put people in that who are encouraging, motivating, who can give ideas, whether it is ethics committees or whether it is scientific review committees, and operationalize entrepreneurship policy. There is a ICMR policy where the innovator, even if he is a government or she is a government employee, gets financial benefit. And AIMS is first one to start adopting it. They have not really, they have adopted but not operationalized. And I would encourage you to do the same. This will really make people also think that research is, they can get financially also benefited. Lastly, what are my thoughts for you all, who are all, I consider, medical scientists? I want these seats to be full. The only seats that seem to be empty are faculty, if I'm not wrong. I see the board there. More faculty doing impactful research. This is a great thing to see, this whole hall full of people. But unless the leadership, the faculty is the leadership, they do research. Currently, I talked in AFMC, they said 20% faculty may do research. 10%, they said 10%. I don't know what it is in PGI, but we can certainly try that more faculty is engaged in meaningful research. I would encourage each one of the faculty members to think that A, do research, but 2, more impactful research, anything that leads to a consequence. If we want more patents, more innovations, then we also want to, we had a innovation bazaar but the ratio of the two was that the innovations are always smaller and the publications are always larger. Let's try to do more and more, because that will increase your patents, your products, and help the country in indigenizing products. If PGI will not do it, AIMS will not do it, then who will do it? Focus on high impact publications that affect either clinical practice or public health practice. Some of the people I met today, I gave them this thought that please don't stop at doing something good until you reach clinical or public health practice. First, last, and corresponding authorships, or any one of them, in international collaborations. Don't sell yourself short. I keep seeing day after day in HMSC, in SCRP, that our scientists want to collaborate but without getting anything. They are not really getting anything in that collaboration. They are just simply doing data collection, sharing data, sharing samples. But that is not, why I am saying authorship of this level, they will never give it to you unless you have that work in that. It's not free to get first, last, or corresponding authorship, but the important thing is, please try at least to say, because it is usually we collaborate at the time when the idea has already been done, conceptualized, project is made, and they say, oh, we also want India to be part of this. That is not the best way. If we have to be doing collaboration, we have to start from the point 0. One small thing. When you are writing papers, we write 50,000 papers in this country. Why can't we cite our own work? Our means Indian work from Indian journals or Indian work in the other journals. But we will cite only the best from some US university or Oxford or Cambridge. Why should we only do that? Just think a little bit strategically, it will be good. You cite that, you also have another citation from India. And anybody asks, you can say, is relevant to our country. So I am citing it. And promote Indian publications through social media. When you hear somebody has published in PGI, why don't I see 1,000 tweets that they are sitting here, tweeting that and retweeting it? We should see that from our own institution and then even other institutions. That will promote Indian work. Small things that you can do, some big and some small. Some role models for me, most of them are from All India Institute of Medical Sciences where I worked. Professor Ban, for example, they are all physician scientists. All have done this within the systems that they work. There is a list of PGI as well, but I was not sure, so I didn't want to put it. And who to put on that list? That you have your own role models. One thing Dr. Bhan taught me, because although I was a clinician, I was doing full-time research, so I had that luxury, that I learned each one of these skills, each one. Over 10 years, he made sure that and he told me and I made sure I did. He told everybody, not everybody did learn, but I did learn each one of those skills in those 10 years that I did my PhD, and then I did 5 years after post-PhD while I was at AIMS, starting with research methods, not only quantitative but also qualitative, critical thinking, conceptualization, writing grants, writing proposals, lab skills, from microbiology to biochemistry to atomic, and PCR, biotech, every single assay that happened in our labs, I have done with my own hands at least once. Bioethics, rigorous study implementation, great ideas but poor implementation doesn't mean much. It has to be combined to ensure data integrity, lab samples integrity of what we are doing, data management, data analysis, its interpretation, even doing systematic reviews and meta-analysis, even if you are a primary researcher, so that you understand how that is done. Working with public health programs, community engagement, costing, cost effectiveness. I did this. I'm not saying everybody should do that, but I have one message. Your team that you create around you, at least the team should have these 10 things in their pocket. Then you will be a force to reckon with. This is just to say one thing which comes at the end. I've resigned 3 times in my life, all 3 times to lower salaries, and resigning what was a permanent career to come to a temporary one, including the current one. Because I believe in what Robert Frost said, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So I want you to think that follow your heart. If you are a youngster sitting here, follow your heart. If you are excellent in whatever you do, the less traveled the road, the better it might be. Because that is where you can easily rise to be a star, to be a global star. So thank you all very much for such patient listening. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom and encouragement. Inspired by your thoughts, I can feel the wave of motivation and the desire to conduct good research swirling in all of us. I am now honored to invite Dr. Arnab Paul, Professor in charge Research Cell. Dr. Paul will enlighten us about the criteria followed for the evaluation of publications, providing valuable insights into the meticulous process that has gone into selection of the award recipients. Dr. Arnab, please.
A very good afternoon to all of you. I'm honored to be part of the annual research day activities since the last couple of years. It is always a daunting task to assess and rank the research work of faculty of PGI. As you know, any research can be evaluated by 2 methods, qualitatively and quantitatively, also Sarah has mentioned. At PGI, you always try to choose the objective criteria for evaluating any research work or research paper presenting at the annual day Research for Awards. Over the years, we have evolved to adopt most unbiased objective criteria, adding the impact factor of the journal with current citation in scopus of the particular article. In this manner, we try to keep a balance and give credit to the rigor of the work as well as the acceptance by the peer scientific community. This year, we have received more than 400 abstracts for the award category. The awards for faculty has been categorized into medical, surgical, and pre-para clinical specialty in professor, additional professor, associate professor, as well as assistant professor ranks. Total 36 awards with first, second, and third in each category. We have 2 awards, each in junior and senior resident category, PhD, research associate, pool officer, and research scholar category, and tutor, demonstrator, and other students or other members category. There are 2 awards for systematic review and meta-analysis category also. In the next part of the presentation ceremony, we will see our achievers. Thank you so much.
It is now time for acknowledging the hard work done by our faculty colleagues, residents, and research staff. May I request our respected chief guest, Dr. Rajiv Bahal, Director PGI and Dean Academic, to kindly come forward for the award distribution ceremony. May I also invite Professor Y.K. Chawla and Professor Vinay Sakhuja, our guests of honor, to join the dignitaries for honoring the recipients of the innovation category. Innovation is the key to unlocking the doors of progress and paving the way for a brighter future. The first awardee in the innovation category is Professor Ravindra Khewal from Community Medicine and School of Public Health. The next awardee is Professor Ramandeep Singh Virk, and his award would be collected by Dr. Gyan. He is from Department of ENT. Professor Meenakshi Rohela from Obstetrics and Gynecology. Next, we have Professor Babita Ghai from Anesthesia and Intensive Care. Her award would be collected by Dr. Sujata. Professor Praveen Salunke from Neurosurgery is being awarded in absentia as he is busy with the OT work. Professor Anurag Snehi Ramwat from ENT. Amongst the additional professor category, we have Dr. Vishal Kumar from Department of Orthopedics. Coming on to the associate professor category, we have Dr. Manoj Kumar Jaiswal from Oral Health Sciences Center. Dr. Maryada Sharma from ENT. Dr. Rajiv Chauhan, Associate Professor, Anesthesia and Intensive Care. Dr. Shivlal Soni, Associate Professor, Anesthesia and Intensive Care. Dr. Sagrikar Haldar, Associate Professor, Experimental Medicine and Biotechnology. Dr. Basant Kumar, Associate Professor, Cardiology. Dr. Gurjeet Kaur, Research Scholar, Endocrinology. Dr. Anshika Chauhan, Research Associate, Biochemistry. Thank you, Professor Y.K. Chawla and Professor Vinay Sakhuja for honoring the recipients of the innovation category. May I now request Professor Behra and Professor S.K. Jindal to kindly come forward for the award distribution in the research publications category. In medical specialty category, amongst the professors, we have Dr. Ritesh Agarwal from Pulmonary Medicine. Professor Shankar Prenja from Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health. Professor Ravindra Khewal from Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health. Amongst the additional professors, we have Dr. Rajendra Kumar from Nuclear Medicine. Please give them a loud applause, please. Dr. Prateek Bhatia from Pediatrics. Dr. Anmol Bhatia from Radio Diagnosis and Imaging. Amongst the associate professors, we have Dr. Ashok Kumar Pannu from Internal Medicine. Dr. Harmandeep Singh from Nuclear Medicine. Dr. Sehajal Dhuria from Pulmonary Medicine. Amongst the assistant professors, we have Dr. Valiappan Muthu from Pulmonary Medicine. Dr. Tanvi Kiran from Community Medicine and School of Public Health. Dr. Ark De from Hepatology. Coming on to the surgical specialities, amongst the professors, we have Dr. Babita Ghai from Anesthesia and Intensive Care, and her award would be received by Dr. Sujata. Dr. Neerja Bharti from Anesthesia and Intensive Care, and Professor Suman would be collecting the award on her behalf. Professor Ramandeep Singh from Ophthalmology. Amongst the additional professors, we have Dr. Harjeet Singh from Department of Gastrointestinal Surgery, HPB and Liver Transplant. Dr. Uttam Chand Saini from Orthopedics. Dr. Siddharth Sharma from Orthopedics. Dr. Tanveer Samra from Anesthesia and Intensive Care. Coming on to the associate professors, we have Dr. Shivlal Soni from Anesthesia and Intensive Care. Dr. Anudeep Jafra from Anesthesia. Dr. Sarabpreet Singh from Renal Transplant Surgery. Coming on to the assistant professors in this category, we have Dr. Bharti Joshi from Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Shipra Gupta from Oral Health Sciences Center. Dr. Ajay Singh from Anesthesia and Intensive Care. We finish with this category now. Thank you, Professor Behra and Professor S.K. Jindal, for honoring the recipients of medical and surgical specialties. It's a pleasure to invite Professor Aruna Lok Chakrabarti and Professor Madhu Khullar for honoring the awardees of pre- and paraclinical specialties and other categories. In the pre- and paraclinical specialty, amongst the professors, we have Dr. Manisha Biswal from Medical Microbiology. Professor Indu Verma from Biochemistry. Professor Anup Ghosh from Medical Microbiology. His award would be collected by Ms. Snigdha Reddy. She is a PhD scholar. Amongst the additional professors, we have Dr. Archana Angrup from Medical Microbiology. Dr. Shri Jesh from Hematology. Dr. Amol N. Patil from Pharmacology. Amongst the associate professors, we have Dr. Sagrika Haldar from Experimental Medicine and Biotechnology. Dr. Ashok Kumar Yadav from Experimental Medicine and Biotechnology. Dr. Harsimran Kaur from Medical Microbiology. Amongst the assistant professors, we have Dr. Rakesh Yadav from Medical Microbiology. Dr. Kamal Kishore from Biostatistics. And Dr. Praveen Sharma from Hematology. His award would be collected by Dr. Shri Jesh. This year, a special category was made for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. The awardees in this category are Dr. Vishal Sharma, Additional Professor, Gastroenterology. Dr. Jitendra Kumar Sahu, Professor Pediatrics. Dr. Ramesh Pal, Assistant Professor, Endocrinology. She'll collect. In the category of junior and senior residents, we have Dr. Piyush Pathak, Senior Resident Biochemistry. Dr. Anubha Dev, Senior Resident, Dermatology. In the category of PhD scholars, pool officers, and research associates, we have Gaurav Jaini from Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health. And we have Mr. Savitesh Kushwaha from the same department. In the category of tutor, demonstrator, BSc students, MSc students, and any other, we have Dr. Ankit Watts. He is a physicist from nuclear medicine. Next is Dr. Garima Bhatt from Community Medicine and School of Public Health, and her award is being received by Ms. Diksha Wadia. She is a PhD scholar. Thank you, Professor Chakrabarti and Professor Madhu Khullar, for honoring the recipients. To express a sincere gratitude, may I request Professor Vivek Lal, Director PGI, and Professor Naresh Panda, Dean Academic, to felicitate our respected chief guest. The guests of honor of today's function to join, please. Everyone. A big thank you goes to our revered guests of honor. May I request Director PGI, Dr. Vivek Lal, to give our token of remembrance to our revered ex-director, Professor Y.K. Chawla. Our revered ex-dean, Professor Vinay Sakhuja. Our ex-dean research, Professor Digambar Behra. Ex-head, Department of Pulmonary Medicine, Professor S.K. Jindal. Ex-head, Department of Medical Microbiology, Professor Aruna Lok Chakrabarti. Ex-professor, Department of Experimental Medicine and Biotechnology, Professor Madhu Khullar. A humble gratitude to all our revered guests. Gratitude is the key to unlocking the abundance within our lives. I stand before you with a profound sense of gratitude and appreciation for the collective efforts that have made this event a resounding success. It is indeed an honor to extend my heartfelt thanks to our distinguished chief guest, Dr. Rajiv Behel, and our esteemed guests of honor, Professor Y.K. Chawla, Professor Vinay Sakhuja, Professor Digambar Behra, Professor S.K. Jindal, Professor Aruna Lok Chakrabarti, and Professor Madhu Khullar for gracing the event and sharing their invaluable insights with us. Our sincere appreciation goes to the Director PGI, Professor Vivek Lal, Dean Academic, Professor Naresh Kumar Panda, Professor in charge of Research Cell, Dr. Arnab Pal, and other members of the Research Day Committee for their continuous guidance and unwavering support in steering the academic and research excellence of our institution. I would also like to convey our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Jagat Ram, ex-director PGI, Professor Rajvanshi, Director AIMS Rai Bareilly, and Professor Krishan Gaba, ex-Dean Research PGI. A special acknowledgement is due to the hard-working staff of the Medical Education Research Cell and the Research Grant Cell, whose dedication and commitment have played a pivotal role in organizing and executing this event seamlessly. To our esteemed faculty members, residents, and researchers, who in addition to their dedicated clinical responsibilities have actively engaged themselves in research pursuits, and to all other invaluable support staff, I express my profound gratitude for their vital roles as the pillars of our institution. The synergy between your clinical expertise and research contributions has not only enriched our academic environment, but has also significantly contributed to the advancement of medical knowledge. In closing, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration and innovation that has characterized this event. Together, we will continue to scale new heights in the realms of education and research. Thank you, one and all. Kindly stand for the national anthem. Thank you everyone.